Right. We are now live. For anyone joining us today, we are doing this for the first time. I think we've got a viewership in the top left in terms of count here. So we'll give it a couple of seconds before we get into everything. I might pull up, Justin, what it looks like on like YouTube right now and make sure that we're all squared away.
I'm on Twitter.
You're on Twitter. Twitter looking good? All right. And we are good on YouTube as well. All right, let's just hop into it, Justin.
Let's do it.
Let me get us queued up with the intro. Oh, wait. Start over, baby. We'll just roll with this. I got yours coming, by the way.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever live edition. And for
music's going on again, Jake.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever live edition and live being recorded live and presented to you all live of Ball Watching. For anyone that does podcast only, feel free to just check this out on Monday morning. We'll be dropping it then in your audio form, whatever your podcast platform of choice is. But for today, we've got a loaded show. It's been 2 weeks since we talked to you, but I feel like so much happens in that time, especially now with the club ramping up, a little bit less than a month before the first game, which is absolutely crazy. So let me just give you all a rundown sort of what we have going on for the episode today. We've got to kick off with our five-a-side. We're going to get into a little bit of a debate here. We've got some transfer news. We've got some injury news, unfortunately. We've got some preseason kind of check-in on the team. They've played their first friendly and another one today. And wrap it all out with some CITY2 updates, an update on our Leagues Cup draw, which will be exciting. We've created a little STL sports schedule view that kind of puts it all into the same view for you all from a professional point of view. And then there's a ton going on in U.S. soccer and at U.S. soccer as well right now that I'm sure will have some impacts and you guys will be all kind of curious to know more about. So with that all said, let's get kicked off on the five-a-side here, Justin. Today, for you all with us live and on the podcast, we are doing our five-a-side. Just a reminder, this isn't like a draft, like a ranking really of anything. We're not doing it in order, but we're picking our squad based on the theme of who we think our strongest side we could put forth would be. And this theme for today is TV shows. We're kind of picking our favorite TV shows that we think would make the best five-a-side kind of team for us. We'll relate it back to soccer as well. So, Justin, actually, I'll hand over to you for the first pick of today.
All right, let's do it. And these are not in order. I think we're just going to go top five as a whole. First one. Yeah. Game of Thrones, and I'm going to relate it back to soccer as well. I think I'm going to do it with the U.S. men's national team. I think Game of Thrones is your Tim Ream. Just kind of always been steady. I know it kind of fell off towards the end. It's long. He's had a long career. Still good, but not something that you're probably going to continue to go on in the next couple of years. So Tim Ream, Game of Thrones for me. What do you got for yours?
I've got Entourage as my first pick. Entourage is a journeyman of a show. The quality they bring to my team definitely does never get old. Always willing to go back to this guy in the team and be able to count on them to deliver. Always brings the laughs for me. So Entourage is my first pick.
Okay, I'm going with my heavy hitter next. Succession. It's my favorite show right now. Favorite show of all time. That's my Christian Pulisic of this team. It's strong. It's going to continue to stay strong over the next couple of years. Season 4 drops March 26th. Couldn't be more pumped about that. Get the Roys back together. Give me a little cousin Greg and Tom Wamsgams interaction. Yeah.
Both on my board as well. Strong picks to start off with. I'm going to go a little bit rogue here and go a little bit into soccer, but on top of St. Louis City SC, I'm also a big Arsenal fan, and All or Nothing released their most recent installation around Arsenal. So All or Nothing, for anyone wondering, is like a documentary, kind of like Drive to Survive, like F1, or the one about golf coming out. I forget what that's called, or Breakpoint for tennis that you have on Netflix, where it really dives deep into like unfettered access of the club. And you kind of can get to know what the coach is doing, the players are doing, all in the preseason, all the drama behind the scenes. It's a great show. I highly recommend it. It's a phenomenal show. Whatever team you support, I think you can kind of enjoy any.
The golf one coming out, it's called Full Swing. That's going to be coming out in a month or two. That's going to be incredible.
Absolutely.
I can't add that yet because obviously not out, but that will be probably my top 5 next time we do this or whatever. My next one is an X Factor. Peaky Blinders. I'd say that's sneakily strong as well. That's my Timothy Weah of this team coming in. Not a whole lot of people have been following it. I think it originally hit really hard, and then they're going to end it with a movie as well. So if you haven't seen Peaky Blinders, I think there's 6 seasons out, maybe 7. Each season is like 8 episodes, so you can run through it real quick. But Peaky Blinders for sure, extremely strong pick. I'm happy with my squad right now. Right now, I'm kicking your ass.
Yeah, I like your depth, but I'm going to come out of here with a newcomer onto the scene. This guy kind of broke out this year, and ton of Emmy nominations in Severance on Apple TV Plus. Severance is a mind-bending show, and like I said, burst onto the scene. I don't think anyone was really expecting it to be phenomenal like it was, but Adam Scott is incredible in it. Otherwise known for his great role as Derek in Step Brothers. A little more serious this go around, but newcomer. I'm expecting a lot in the seasons to come from this player for me, but Severance is my third pick.
I'm going to take a one that's definitely going to be controversial here, and I'm probably on the wrong side of this, but I'm going Friends. This is one that's had a long run. It's Mike Calanacosta. It's kind of just like you've had potential, or you did have potential. You were hot probably earlier on, and then now you're kind of just there. But Friends is always one that, like, if I'm just like working from home or whatever, to throw something on in the background. Shout out to my mom, my sister. My sister had every DVD growing up of every episode of Friends. I can just now go to the guide and by the name of the episode know if I want to watch it or not. So
okay,
one of my steady eddies.
It's a study. One of my studies, actually, I'll give you my study. My study is Curb Your Enthusiasm. I don't know if there are new seasons coming out of there. I'm not like the biggest Curb fan in the world, but I actually got into it super late. It's a awesome show. It's kind of like The Office for me in a sense that, like, you go back to any episode and you can jump in and it's hilarious in a little bit different way. But it's a steady show. You don't need to be in tune with all the prior seasons to really get what's going on, but it's hilarious. Larry David's a freaking genius. The guy's a playmaker out there. So this is my playmaker, but very steady as well.
I'm going to finish strong, and maybe a little bit of a hot take one this year too. I'm a big fan of miniseries, Jake. Queen's Gambit, when that came out, I could not blow through that fast enough. That was on Netflix, and that is going to be my Brendan Aronson spark plug just right off the bench real quick, just because it's a miniseries, 6 episodes, no further season after that. If you haven't seen Queen's Gambit, get out there and watch it. That's by far my favorite miniseries.
Yeah. My dark horse, I'm kind of saving it for potential. I met some people that like the show, some people that haven't seen it, is Dave. Lil Dicky has a show called Dave. It's on FX and then on Hulu. It's incredible. He is so talented. I can't believe he has a show. So he's kind of my dark horse coming in here, where if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's a great show. You laugh your tail off, and it's really funny and actually getting really, really good and well done as well. And season 3, I believe, is coming out in the next couple of months here.
So we're going to we'll put this back up. We'll do a little vote. I think you actually ended up coming back and taking the food vote for the Taco Bell our 5-a-side for gas stations. I was thinking Taco Bell Bread Co.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. We'll put another one up. We'll see how it goes.
All right, man.
Let's get into
Let's move on. Get into some city news. So transfers, not anything too sexy going on here. This is kind of a follow-up to a draft pick that we had, but Indiana Vasilev was finally signed after some negotiations between our club and Aston Villa, his parent club. Indiana, great name, is 21 years old, and this guy actually made a Premier League couple of appearances. He's played in the FA Cup as well. He's played in almost every league in England from the top couple of leagues. He played in League One and League Two. He's a midfielder, but I'd say kind of more on the wing type midfielder. Really, really strong player. He played in a ton of games for Miami the last 2 seasons on loan from Aston Villa. So I expect him to probably feature pretty heavily in the squad. And I think, Justin, you pulled some stuff on his U.S. experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and then not as much a ton on the U.S. side, but he had experience coming up in the U20 level, featured 17 the U17 national team squad by Hackworth. So I think, like you said, we keep seeing this consistent theme that we're seeing a lot of connections with these players, but I think is great. That's Lutz building the team, like you said, not superstars, guys that he thinks going to fit the mold that we're creating. So I think
super team
pick up, and he's going to be a great role player for God.
Yep. The next one, kind of not as connected, at least from what I'm picking up on, is the transfer for Michael Wenzel. So just for a heads up, everyone. So Michael, he's 20-year-old center back, and he's coming from the 4th tier in Germany. He came up through Borussia Mönchengladbach's system, who plays in the Bundesliga. And like I said, he's 20. And I think, we'll get into the injury here next for our center back. But he's not going to be a guy that comes right into the first team. He's going to start with the MLS Next Pro, see how he develops. I think there's a lot of potential they still see in him. He's here for at least 2 years with an option for 2025. So we'll see what comes of Michael, but he's definitely going to start and probably play a load of minutes for City 2 off the drop. He's featured actually for Germany as well at the U17 and U19 level, but one to watch, not one that you're going to see immediately make an impact.
And he's captain for the Germany U17 and U19 level at times. So this is one that definitely a lot of potential, a lot of upside. But like Jake said, I think it'll just take a couple of years to get into it for him. So excited to see him kind of grow once he's over here. And I think he's from the German side, Rot Weiss Oberhausen.
Yeah. There you go. That's good.
Maybe.
Good.
I think he
I like
also,
that.
Dude, aren't W's in Germany like V's? Like, is it Michael?
Yeah. Yep.
That
is the rule. That is the rule.
Okay.
Any Germans, feel free to weigh in for us and grade our pronunciations. Well, we got some bad news though as well. So there's 2 transfers coming in. Otherwise, the squad's pretty much locked in since our last episode. Unfortunately, big injury. I feel here to Joachim Nilsson or Joachim, whatever. Joachim, if you're listening, feel free to weigh in the name here. But this guy was probably, people ask me who our best player was. To me, on paper and worldwide, this is the most well-known, probably best player that we have in our roster right now.
Except for Berkey.
And Berkey, probably biggest name. I think this guy, he was contributing for the Swedish national team. That's where he got hurt, unfortunately. But it would have been in the World Cup, which would have been insane to have a guy for our team playing the World Cup. But anyway, knee problems, man. Knee problems are difficult. They decided to, once he had this injury back in May of last year, they decided for him to come here, move once he has sealed his transfer and try to just rehab it and take it easy, more conservative on the approach instead of doing more invasive surgeries. Didn't pan out. Essentially, we kind of lost a bunch of months because we were trying that approach with him. So now he will be out at least until we can reevaluate him at the end of May. So big bummer there.
I will say with this though, Jake, kind of looking at silver lining or a bright spot is he's going to be paired with Tim Parker as our center backs, but then it does give a little bit of a chance for Bell, Hebert, and Yarrow to kind of step up and see who else can get some good minutes to start the season. And then I think that'll help carry us further down the line as well.
I agree.
So I know it's not great to start the season with an injury, but it'll help us kind of figure out who else would be that next spot in case another guy goes down later on.
I agree. That left side center back spot is open now. So we're going to try a bunch of people there, and especially here in preseason, and see what happens and see what sticks. Because you think Parker will be that right side center back regardless. And then we'll see who claims that spot. But big opportunity for those that are being tried in that area.
Agreed.
We mentioned preseason. So let's hop into preseason. We have a game today. We're recording this on Saturday, the 28th of January right now against Inter Miami. But we played one game so far, and that was against Philadelphia Union. Philadelphia Union are no small, thing here. They're a big team in the MLS. They actually were the Eastern Conference champion last year. They've been a good side for a while. And we tied them 2-2. Not going to look into preseason with any sort of, wow, we tied the Union. Look at us. We're going to have a great season. But it's good to see. I mean, we basically put in 2 full teams on both halves to play in these games. We actually played down both times. So we were down immediately in the first 10 minutes. We came back and Klaus scored a goal. Great for his confidence, I think, to start off on that kind of form. They scored another goal in the second half, and then we evened it up with a PK late with Nico Giacchini. So ultimately a good result. The one thing I want to call it here, Justin, before we get off this result was I was looking at the starting 11s, and you see 2 unfamiliar names in there, and I want to draw attention to them. So in the first half, we played with Miguel Perez, who's 17 in our midfield, and he's probably playing in like the Blum spot right now. We don't have much cover there, like we talked about. So he is from our U17 academy. He's making the jump up to CITY2 this year, and right now he's featuring with these guys, getting probably some really great experience with these professionals playing at that type of level. So he featured. We also featured a trialist in the second half, Lucas Bartlett, who's from Missouri, I believe Overland Park, potentially. So a guy, who's 25. He's kind of been through MLS Next Pro and kind of the lower divisions here and there after college, but not expecting to see him make that first team unless we do need some more depth at center back. He played center back for us, but 2 exciting kind of interesting things I called out on the starting 11s or the starting end in the second 11.
Yeah, and since they weren't able to stream the game, they did put out some highlights. The Klaus goal was great. Ball over the top, took a good touch, great finish, looked very calm, cool, collected. And then Giacchini just putting away the PK. So, like you said, don't read into it too far. It's our first ever preseason game. A lot of different guys going in and out. We're really just trying to figure things out right now. But, hey, I'll take a 2-2 tie. Shows that we can score. Maybe we can clean it up in the back a little bit, but not a bad start.
I'm just seeing a question come in, Justin, actually here, and we can address it while we're on here from Austin. Austin, thanks for tuning in. Anything to the trolls on Twitter saying we're going to buy Phil Jones? As a United fan, also, I cringe at that thought. Ha ha. Oh my God. So for everyone, here's Austin's comment. I actually have not seen that rumor, and I hope to God it doesn't materialize. I don't know what you think, Austin, about Phil Jones. I know what I feel about Phil Jones. I feel like he's kind of been on the twilight the last couple years of his career at United, and he definitely needs a move. But unless we could get him at a really good deal, I don't see that materializing personally.
I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I don't think that's with Lutz's style of what he's saying. I don't think we're going to go be grabbing guys from Manchester United, to be honest.
Yeah,
we'll see.
It'd be a high profile thing.
It'd be a high profile coming to that but I'd rather hold off.
Right. All right. Let's move on. Thanks for the comment, Austin. And we'll address anyone that drops a comment, and feel free, and we'll try to chat about it here. But some CITY2 updates. So we know that CITY2 now has a Twitter account. They are separate from the formal club.
They have an Instagram account too.
They have an Instagram account too. Okay. So they're pulling strings over there. They now have their own full-time coaching staff. Hackworth is no longer with them from a head coach point of view. Bobby Murphy was our hire to take his place for serving at the helm this season. So Bobby Murphy is most recently an assistant for Union Omaha in USL League One, so the second tier of USL. He actually took the team to the title in his first season there in 2021, which is impressive. He's got prior experience in the USL Championship with Rio Grande Valley, and also as an assistant and interim head coach for Orlando City SC. So the guy's got experience on all levels of American soccer. He's also got experience as being a technical coordinator for Orlando City's academy. So he's kind of a Swiss Army knife of a guy, and I'm sure he'll contribute pretty heavily, but he'll be our head coach on the CITY2 side, bringing along an assistant in Chris Duval, who's an 8-year MLS veteran, kind of been around the block with Red Bull, Montreal, Houston, Portland, Cincinnati. He's 31, so he's a young assistant coach, kind of taking this opportunity to build off of what he started in his coaching career last year. Then we have TK as well on the CITY2 side, making the jump up. What do we feel about TK? Go listen to the episode if you haven't. Guys,
I was going to say, everybody that hasn't listened to TK episode is still one of my favorite ones that we've done as an interview. He is just a hilarious guy, and also a ton of soccer knowledge and a huge background, and some really notable people that he's coached and kind of put through the ranks as well as a goalkeeper coach. So keeping TK on and giving him a solidified spot as CITY2, and you'll see him. I'm sure you'll be seeing him probably in the warm-ups of the CITY1 games. Absolutely, as well. He can ping.
I would agree. Guys hit so many. He's got great feet for a goalie. One of the better examples of that. And finally, to round up the coaching staff for CITY2, they have Sam Black brought on as a performance coach, probably working with or in tandem with Jared Phillips on the first team side. And he played collegiate ball at Belmont, and he has experience kind of all over sports performance at Vanderbilt, Belmont, Texas, Marshall, with a couple of our guys from CITY2, and now on the first team coming from Marshall. So there's a little connection point there. So that rounds out CITY2.
Before we move on, one fun fact about Bobby Murphy, the new CITY2 head coach. His son played at SLU while we were there.
Oh, yeah.
Noah did. Yeah, so he's on the SLU team. Shout out Noah back in 2015, 2016 timeframe. So it's kind of a little St. Louis connection.
Love that. The news just keeps coming hot. So, man, I feel like they just dropped this all at the same time. But essentially, so Leagues Cup for everyone. I'll start off with a reminder. So Leagues Cup is going to happen in the summer this year. It's the first time they're doing this tournament. It's 47 clubs. So every club from the MLS, every club from Liga MX in Mexico, so their equivalent of the MLS, is participating in this World Cup style format tournament. It's a knockout tournament, and the top 3 teams that are in that tournament will qualify for the CONCACAF Champions League in 2024. So we're going to hit pause on the MLS season to do this, and the same with Liga MX. It's going to be from July 21st to August 19th, and we're going to cover that super deep here, so everyone stay tuned for that kind of stuff. But we have our group now, and how do you feel about our group, Justin?
I originally was not a huge fan. I was a little scared. So Columbus Crew and Copa America from Liga MX. But then I did a little research on these guys, Jake. I'm not as scared as I was going to be. So Columbus last year, they were 10-16-8, middle of the pack, didn't make the playoffs. I think they do have one bright spot that you can kind of call out if anybody watched the U.S. men's national team game versus Serbia. Our starting midfielder, Aiden Morris, he's just 21. He plays for the Columbus Crew, so keep an eye out for him. But then Club America last year, they did win the Liga MX regular season, lost in the semis of the playoffs. But kind of one thing that I noted with them was that they had 10 wins, 5 draws, and 2 losses, but they still only had 21 goals for in those 17 games. So not a whole lot of scoring with them. And then this year they have played 3 games in Liga MX and have 3 ties with just 4 goals scored. So that's it. They don't have a win or a loss this year. So nothing overly impressive on my side, at least. So obviously we could have been worse off in the MLS side. We probably got one of the better teams down in Club America down in Liga MX, but I mean, it's to be expected.
Yeah, I think it's good exposure for us. Like, let's go test ourselves against a really good team. That's one of the most. I mean, I think Club America, you might have said this, is the most successful continental club in North America in terms of titles won and cups won, competitions won. So let's bring them on. Like, I would love to see our guys get tested against a team like that. So that's Leagues Cup. A lot more to come on that in terms of like schedule and when these games. That's not even out yet. We just have the format really in our group, and we will have some games here in St. Louis. So, you know, for season ticket holders, we'll probably get first dibs on access to those. But it should be a really cool experience to hit pause MLS and test out this World Cup style format tournament. Final thing around the club and kind of around more St. Louis specifically that we've put together for you all is, okay, we're St. Louis. We have now about to be 4 professional franchises all competing in the months of February and March, at least, maybe some April as well. So what we've done for you all, and I will share my screen here for anyone listening, and for those that aren't, we will put this thing out there for you all, but we've got here a view to essentially kind of aggregate all of those games in one place. And
this was cool. I like that you did this. And just to kind of give a little bit more on this, what Jake said, the 4 teams, we'll have obviously City, we'll have the Cardinals and Blues, which have been staples, and then we'll have the Battlehawks, which start the beginning of the year on a 3-game road trip. But there are multiple days, as Jake kind of pulls this up, that we will have home games kind of crossover. I think there's 2 specifically with City, if I remember correctly. One will be during a Cardinals game. I think that's like a noon Saturday game that we have, and then Cardinals start at like 1:15.
Yeah.
And then also with the Battlehawks, we'll have another one on a Saturday night. And unfortunately, I am a Battlehawks season ticket holder too. So I think that game starts at like 6, and then City plays at 7:15. So I guess I'm just going to go to the first half of Battlehawks and then get us going up to back to the City game. But I think Jake might be having some technical.
Yeah, it's right now. I got a new computer. Chrome is blocking me from doing this. I'll figure this out for the next time. But we'll put it out on Twitter for you all. Essentially, the synopsis here is for February. We've talked about trifectas and quadfectas. Like, we could have these teams all featuring on the same day. For February, you'll look at the schedule, and I've got it all bulleted out there, and you'll see it for each day. Really, the only big day we have is our actual first ever game of the season against Austin FC. 3 of our city's teams will be featured that day. Austin FC for us, we're going to be away. The Blues have Pittsburgh Penguins at home that afternoon at 2. And then for anyone to the Cardinals as well, Cardinals are having a spring training game against the Nationals at 12:05. So we have more coming. We'll work on putting the March output out there too as well, because March gets crazy with all these games going on. But a lot of cool things to be excited about if you're a St. Louisan and a sports fan specifically. Like, it's going to be hype, and we're just putting all this on the same picture for you all to see at all these games and all the times. So we'll put that out there on socials here shortly for you all to see.
And unfortunately, I don't think there's ever a day where we have 3 and/or 4 of the games all at home, at least. Correct. Talking about February, March, April, whatever. Unfortunately, I don't think we have any of those, but there are a couple crossovers with at least 2. So, and then even with those 2 at home, we'll have 1 away. But I think if we had 3 or 4 on the same day at home, the city would burn.
It would burn, and I think they've purposely avoided that, because I think I looked ahead, and I know you and I chatted about it. I'm pretty sure there are no instances of even a 3 home game stretch.
No, I don't think so.
Workable maybe if you had the right logistics, but I definitely not 4. And the Battlehawks have such a short season, so it's not going to happen, I don't think, for us. But still, that's a lot of TV time and a lot to watch, like your city competing at a high level. So super stoked about that, and we will share that all with you right after this. So
I will say the day that the Battlehawks and City both play together, that will be insane. That's Saturday, March 18th. We'll get the schedule out there, but Battlehawks at 6, City at 7:30. That is going to be the weather's going to be nice. There's going to be people all over the city outside getting rowdy for these games. So get excited.
Absolutely. Finally, to kind of round us out, Justin, a lot still going on. I know I sent out the Raina Berhalter episode where we kind of talked about that more specifically, but a lot going on with U.S. soccer and soccer in the U.S. right now still. And I think it's all just kind of important contextual stuff for you all to think about. But the long and short of it is that Ernie Stewart, friend of the pod, we'll still look to see if we can have him, but will be vacating his role at the end of the month or early February to move from U.S. soccer to PSV in Holland. We've loved hearing and talking to Ernie about his vision for the program, and I think U.S. soccer is ultimately trending in the right direction, and I think he's instilled some principles as being the first ever sporting director. But PSV is a huge get for him. He's also, I learned, we didn't talk to him about this, Justin, but his family's been living overseas that entire time he's been here. So it's good for him to get back to his family as well. So ultimately, I'm excited for him. That's a promotion to me to be able to go to one of the top clubs in Europe. I mean, PSV is top 2 in Holland, and they're always in the Champions League. They have big talent. So I'm excited for him. But it's tough for us because we also lost Brian McBride out as GM. Both of these, U.S. Soccer put out a press conference statement, and they did a press conference in saying that these weren't related to all the drama behind the scenes with Raina Berhalter stuff. I don't know how much I believe all of that, but Brian McBride essentially said that he told them he was leaving before the World Cup, just didn't want to detract from any of the attention of the team. And Ernie's decision was made shortly after, and it was, not related at all. I don't know how much I'm buying that, but things not looking good for Greg to retain his job or be considered, even though he still is in contention, according to the organization.
They're just taking their time with this, and as they should. They're just kind of cleaning house with all this. It's good to see. I will say it looks like it hasn't affected Gio at all. Hitting 2-game winners the past 2 games, and love the silencer little situation there. And I think that had a couple of different underlying themes on it from Greg, and then also some of the Memphis Depay things that have been going on. But yeah, I think they just need to take their time on it. This is going to be a big move for us. This is probably our biggest cycle ever coming up with us hosting the World Cup 2026. Absolutely. There's no rush. So fine with me.
They brought in a sportsology or sportiology a firm to actually lead the search for the sporting director. So they're not taking this in the slightest. It's an important decision because they've also come out and said the sporting director will then hire the head coach. So any talk about head coach right now, I would treat with a grain of salt because there is nothing to be done until we have the position above filled in as sporting director. And these 2 positions, I mean 3 really, the sporting director, GM, and head coach all just became a hell of a lot more enticing for reasons that we'll get to after we talk about the U.S.'s most recent friendly against Serbia.
With Serbia, nothing too exciting for anybody that tuned in. Ended up losing 2-1. I think we saw some good highlights there. A lot of young guys. It's not our typical team. So everybody's like, how did we lose to Serbia? It's not the guys. It's not your Pulisic. It's not Weston McKennie, Musa, Weah, all those guys that you would kind of expect. And Turner actually just played for Arsenal. But great goal by Brandon Vasquez. He's a big dude up top. I didn't know a whole lot about him, but he looked great while he was out there. Young team we threw together, kind of throw it at the wall, see what sticks. Gaga Slonina.
Yeah.
He's our youngest goalkeeper to ever debut for the men's national team at 18 years old. I think like 255 days or something like that. So he did all right as well. We had 20 shots, 5 on goal with 62% of the possession compared to 11 shots, 6 on goal for them with 38%. So nothing kind of like preseason for City, nothing really to dive into there. Yeah. But we do have another game tonight against Colombia at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. So tune into that if you want to see some of the other guys that are going to be kind of coming up the chain.
Not like we said, like not too much to make of this camp. People call it camp cupcake sometimes because it's a lot. It's just MLS, really domestic players. There's a couple European players like Gaga, actually, who got his move from the Fire of the MLS to Chelsea now. So, some players like that in there. I would say I'd put the over-under at players in this camp that'll actually feature like really, really competitively for us, and maybe at the World Cup, like 2 or 3, maybe. But still, an exciting honor for these guys to get on the national team and play. So tonight, I'm definitely going to tune into the Colombia game and see how it's going. I've also had some beef recently with some people on Twitter. Alexi Lalas specifically. You can check out my the tweets and replies. But this is kind of taking us back to all the drama with U.S. soccer. Alexi came out and said essentially in a tweet that, with no GM, no sporting director, we have no discernible direction for the program, and the World Cup starts in 1,230 days. I basically came back to him. I hate when people peddle this negative narrative about the national team and, we're nothing and we're not going in the right direction. Like, did you watch the World Cup? I mean, I would call that a success on the field. Now, we definitely had some drama off the field that probably overshadowed some of that. But if you all are watching, and, I'm optimistic. I know you're optimistic, Justin. We have a good player pool. I think these jobs that are open now are going to be a lot more attractive. And I say that because news broke yesterday that the South American Confederation for Soccer, CONMEBOL, had announced that they're going to actually host their version of their Gold Cup. So all of their nations come to compete, like Colombia, like Brazil, like Argentina, actually in the U.S. In 2024. So we are going to have a professional tournament here, big tournament in 2024. We actually had it back in 2016 as well. And we're going to have that here 2 years before the World Cup, which is awesome. Like, so cool. Argentina, I think, did they win the last installment of that? It was Argentina and Chile in the final. And actually, I want to say that they did not win it. I think Chile won it. Anyway, it's really exciting now because now we don't have World Cup qualifying to use anymore. We've already qualified for 26. So this is going to be an excellent way to have our team tested against some of the world's best in Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, like Ecuador, Peru, like teams that will give us trouble, that aren't Jamaica, that aren't El Salvador, that aren't Grenada. So I'm really excited about that.
I am as well. And I just want to circle back real quick to Alexi Alala stuff. If you're listening, which he doesn't, which I don't care if he does either. I think he's kind of washed up, obviously not as a player, just even as an announcer, reporter, whatever. I think he's just throwing stuff out there to try to get a little traction, to get his name back in the news. So, I don't think Jake did anything wrong there. I think Lexi's just being annoying. So
he is. He's really good at doing that. Soccer in the U.S. is one more thing. Actually, back to the U.S. men's national team before we get back to soccer in the U.S. and just kind of leave you all with some thoughts here. Is Weston McKennie, one of our favorite players in the national team, just today, and this is kind of breaking news right now that we're seeing, is transferring to Leeds from Juventus. Probably a step down in how you look at those two teams in terms of brand and style and history, but Leeds is quickly becoming a very heavy American team. I mean, the whole midfield, if those three start between Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, and Brendan Aronson, is all going to be Americans. Like, that makes me want to really, really support Leeds a lot too. And not to mention Jesse Marsh is still the head coach of Leeds. Now they're kind of in a little bit of a battle to stay up this season. And I really, really hope they do. It'd be a shame to have all three of those guys go down. But I'm excited. Like an American midfield in the EPL. Like, that's awesome.
I will say I'm just more excited that I actually start seeing McKennie play more. It's so hard to see Juventus games wherever you stream them. So Leeds, they'll get more coverage, Peacock, NBC Sports, all of that, USA. Another thing that I'm looking forward to that people need to start thinking about is having those three guys. They will also be one of the core pieces of our World Cup team coming up. So now those guys are not just entering into a camp together and playing for 3 weeks, then having to hop on a World Cup stage. They are going to have so much chemistry that they're going to bring to the actual World Cup once we get there. So I hope that they can kind of stick around for a couple of years together. And yeah, let's stay up. Don't drop down to the championship.
Yep, I agree. So last thing we'll leave y'all with before we head out for the day and wrap this episode up is around soccer in the U.S. and the state. So a lot of shifting around going on with our own federation here at U.S. Soccer. We're optimistic they'll make some good hires, and then we'll probably get some good candidates because of the reasons we mentioned. So put these on your calendar. 2024 Copa America being played here in the U.S. A little bit of an appetizer prior to 2026. The FIFA World Cup, Men's World Cup is coming here. And I'll also put this out there. In 2027 still, they have not allotted the Women's World Cup yet. We are in the running for that as well. So there is potential for us to host a major soccer tournament for 2024, 2026, and 2027. For existing soccer fans, this is Christmas for you. For new, maybe more casual soccer fans, it's going to be in your face. There's nothing you can do to get away from it. We're going to have soccer everywhere for the better part of the middle part of this, 2020s. So I am over the moon excited for that. Like it makes me smile just thinking about how much we're gonna have like so close to home. Like it's amazing. Like I don't know what you think about that, but it makes me so excited.
Start saving money. These games are going to be to go to. I'm going to be planning to go to a lot of them. So that's the only thing I can suggest.
All right. Well, we have reached the end here. Let me see. I might have one more comment. I'll get awesome. We got another one from you here around Jose Mourinho as manager. What are your thoughts on that? So this is a little bit of a complicated one, and I'll keep it short because I have a lot of opinions on Jose. But Jose, I do not like personally as someone to compete against. I think if he was my coach, I feel a little bit differently. He is one of the most well-known, renowned coaches to grace the game. He's done some incredible things. You think back to Porto, you think back to Chelsea. I mean, I respect his resume and his career. If he comes back and he says, "Hey, I'd be open to coaching U.S. soccer," they should do everything in their power to get him to sign. Everything in their power. I don't know if we're going to get people like that caliber that are open to coaching us. It's not an easy job. I mean, we know that.
And I think he would do a good job as well. And just being able to land someone like that would then also open the door to future possibilities with other people internationally that we have not always had the option to grab. So I think I completely agree. If we have the opportunity, let's take it. Unless you see someone better on the list, I don't even know what this is. So
like him or not, we can't afford to be selective at this point. I don't think we're going to get everyone people think we're going to get offers from. So if he comes asking, and we've seen reports about it, like there could be some interest there. Hell yes, is my thought, despite what I think about him and my history with him. So that's all we have time for today. Thanks all for joining. We're kind of just testing out this live stream. Hopefully you've all enjoyed it. Loved answering some of the comments here. But in the meantime, make sure that you guys are following us on Twitter and Instagram at BallWatchingSTL, and DMing us or replying to our stuff. Like we're fairly active on there and love to chat with you all and go back and forth in the comments. But
and we've got a couple. We won't announce them yet. We got a couple fun interviews coming up that we'll be doing in the next week or two. So be ready to see those drop. Some are going to be with soccer related people, and some aren't. Just a little teaser. So we'll see.
Yeah, we keep it fresh. We keep it fresh around here. If you're listening on YouTube, subscribe to us. We're building our count on there. It's great to finally have faces here. Hopefully we bring some other fresh faces on some of these interviews coming up here. If you're listening on your podcasting platform, rate us, leave a review. We love to hear from you all, and that helps kind of amplify the brand here. And we want to get more people in the door to really experience what it's like to be a big fan of soccer in St. Louis City SC and St. Louis really in general. So the last plug we'll make there, but otherwise looks like we're drawn to an end here for our Saturday live stream, and I will leave you all with our outro music if it works. Let's go. There we go.